That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting, say they high, say they sipping pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock that twirl somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They force a misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature, that mean extorted it. They forging it. If news anchors informants who informing them, there's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this: we porting ships, important gifts. Of course it is, but extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks. We ignoring which informant this, informant this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers actors say they high, say they sip with pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real?
In a world where I'm a little bit late on the stream, my bad. We're like about a solid 15 minutes late, but that's actually including the intro time. So, unexpected occurrences made it a little bit late, but shout out to the legends that are here. So anyway, title of the stream is Space is Fake. Of course, we're referring to outer space. Although if you want to get technical, space is nothing more than a concept, so it can't be real in the sense of physical reality. It's literally an idea of an area, which dimensions, which is how we measure physical matter. So when there's not any matter there, it's just a description known as another concept. So we're going to conceptually describe a concept, and then, in clown world of heliocentrism, actually apply physical properties, being bending and warping, to this concept that we describe with other concepts. But anyway, as it applies to outer space, all the very specific claims that the clown shows over at NASA have said that is around us in this second law of thermodynamics defying medium. Actually, I apparently had this in my fridge. I'm not sure why. I don't know whose it was, but it's been in there probably this whole time I've lived there, I think. But anyway, this right here, did y'all hear that? That debunked space, dude. That just debunks space. So inside this can, which I do not in any way recommend, there was built up pressure, right? Because the top of this can, oh shit. Geez Louise. All right. That actually really debunks space right there, because it wasn't contained anymore. All right, we're good. Just baby spill. Anyway, man, so the pressure built up in the can because it's sealed and contained. As soon as I removed the seal, the pressure equalized to the pressure around it. I needed to be dusted off. That's what it was, bro. So yeah, pressure always equalizes. It's that simple. I know that like the people that really want to cling onto the globe, something like that, especially with a spill, is what's going to confirm their bias. Like, oh, look, that's how stupid flat earthers are. They just think it's as simple as opening a can. It literally is. There's pressurized system. inside that can. There's a lower pressure system around the can. As soon as you remove the sill, the containment, it actually will equalize, spontaneously seeking equilibrium around it. So basically what they've defined space as literally can't exist. It's physically impossible based on natural law, but literally space is fake. And they actually show us this. They straight up tell us about how fake space is. So let's check it out. Come over here. All right. Let's check out how fake space is. Oh, that's actually the video I can't show you guys because we live in clown world that's super censored. So we'll not in any way use that one. Even though maybe we're on D-Live, I could end this one and then we can talk about all that. Anyway. Okay, here's one of them. Here you go. We're going to let them explain it to you. We're going to let the mainstream, since we're just crazy conspiracy theorists, we're going to let you listen to the mainstream tell you what goes on when they show you all this propaganda about space. I think this is hilarious. I'll do the disclaimer up there for all of you stupid little grabblers in your algorithms that try to censor us. This is covered by the Fair Use Act for educational purposes of the propaganda that is outer space. All right, let's check it out. Wait, let me grab my disclaimer over here. Get some.
They are images that inspire, educate, and sometimes just make us say, wow. Yeah. Over the years, NASA has given us spectacular photos and renderings that reveal a colorful and mysterious universe.
No doubt. And now Chris Martinez is introducing us to two of the artists behind some of the most iconic space art in the galaxy.
In a small, bright office, working side by side, Robert Hurt and Tim Pyle bring the universe to life.
What we're doing does have real science underlying it.
Robert is an astrophysicist turned artist. Tim, once a Hollywood animator, is now a planet illustrator. Together, they produce some of NASA's most popular images, from renderings of how planets light years away could look to actual photos of stars and galaxies captured by NASA's powerful telescopes.
And this is sort of how it comes to me. And then
Many of those images have a dark, grainy start, but color and light reveal an astonishing glimpse deepest regions of space might appear to the human eye.
What I'm trying to do is show people sort of the broader colors that the universe has to offer.
It's a delicate blend of imagination and data. The artists meet with NASA scientists over many drafts to ensure a planet or galaxy's look lines up with the research to make each one as accurate as possible.
I love the challenge. It's kind of like a puzzle to me of trying to create something that looks really cool within the restrictions that were given by the scientists.
It can take days, even weeks, to produce just a single image. The dazzling final results, enough to keep us all dreaming of the final frontier for years to come. Chris Martinez,
wow.
CBS News.
I mean, they just straight up tell you, bro, like, the point is to dazzle you so that you'll be brainwashed for years to come. Like, bro, what a joke. So there they are admitting the actual thumbnail itself is literally off NASA.gov. Yeah, I know it looks incredibly fake, guys, but this is literally off of. Now, of course, they admit openly that these are cartoons, but you know that doesn't make it any less sketchy. They only show us cartoons. This is literally off of NASA's website. Wow, check that detail out, guys. How exciting. We're on the frontier of humanity. We should probably give them something like, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like 60 mil a day at least, right? These guys are crushing it. Look at that animation. Think about the kind of movie you can make for 60 mil, dude. They're definitely grabbing all that income. All right, we'll watch one more. And so someone said touch on why the gradient isn't a good answer. Okay. Like in a debate, what I would say is, no, we're talking about the antecedent relationship. So you're conflating the antecedent relationship and the quantitative relationship. And then the globe earther will say, oh, word salad. But quantitative meaning, of course, like, you know, you're counting the characteristics or the dispersal of the gas, really, right? So you're quantifying the gas with gradient, which would be delta X. We're talking about X specifically, not the change in X, not delta X, but actually X. So the antecedent to pressure is containment. So we're saying, how do you have the pressure? The antecedent is containment. To say, oh, look, we have a pressure gradient is a non sequitur. It's a red herring fallacy. It literally isn't applicable to the actual question, right? So it's just you looking at the pressure, assuming it to be there, ignoring that antecedent relationship for the pressure, and then saying, look, here's how we count it. the Earth's a ball that defies physics. You know, like literally, that's it. So you for one, can you even replicate or demonstrate any type of a gradient without a container? No, of course not. And you can actually replicate a container, that has gas that has a higher density at the bottom of the container. It's really not hard. And if you're constantly introducing gas to the container, then there's going to be a stronger concentration of the gas at the base of that container. And we have a cycle of gas on the surface of the earth where all the vegetation and animal life is. So we also have weather patterns in transfer of heat, which is obviously going to affect the dispersal of the gas or the equilibrium being sought. But the point is that pressure will always mediate. Okay, that's really what it all comes down to, is pressure mediation, even magnetism and everything. It's like the answer to everything. It's all about pressure mediation. Everything comes down to pressure mediation. So the pressure would fill the available space. It isn't, and all the flat earthers know this, but I don't have just flat earthers that watch my channels. I have other people that get sent here that I want to reach too. So I'm breaking down the basics. It's very simple. When I opened that can as clumsily as I did, it literally debunked space, because the necessary antecedent to pressure is containment. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. Entropy will always increase. So if you have a hot cup of coffee, it will go to the cold area around it and equalize. Heat will go to cold. High pressure will migrate to low pressure every single time, always. And yet they claim there's a vacuum up there, 10 to the negative 17 torr, and we have a pressurized system. So I say, you ever know what space is? They claim it's vacant with the pressurized system adjacent. They'll say, no, it's not adjacent. It's not like right there. It is. You have pressure and then you have a vacuum. So, why is it not filling the available space? So anyway, it's that simple. Space debunked. Everything they claim about it debunked. It's not a traversable medium. It's certainly not as is defined. And of course, for those that are not new to the subject, if you've researched it for any time, they lied about the Earth. It doesn't move. It's stationary. It's the center of everything, meaning geocentric. The scriptures are literally describing it. And as was every single ancient depiction of it ever, of course, the scriptures being exclusively actually real would be the difference there. I think this one's it. Here we go. Let's check out some more space fairy tales. Yay. Bang, bang.
If you really took your finger and poked hard at it, you could poke right through the outer skin of the spacecraft. It was about the thickness of 2 layers of aluminum foil. But it's the kind of thing that you were reasonably cautious that you didn't jam any pointed objects through.
The skin of the aluminum module is so thin that you could punch a hole right through it.
The skin, the aluminum alloy skin of the crew compartment, was about 12 thousandths of an inch thick. That's equivalent to about 3 layers of Reynolds wrap that you would use in the kitchen.
We're getting their story straight. Is it 2 or 3, bro? I thought that space was real, but they can't even decide if it's 2 or 3 layers. It's not the aluminum foil that gave it away for me, like the impossibility of that going into a near perfect vacuum of 10 to the negative 17 torr when you could just poke your finger through it. And they went through this crazy radiation belt that was supposedly still can't go through because technology actually regressed for the first time in the history of mankind. It was the fact they couldn't get their story straight. It's either 2 or 3. You guys are way behind. Well, that's actually what they told the whole public. For those of you that still need to catch up, some boomers, and I love them, no disrespect, but they're the hardest ones to get through about this stuff sometimes. But hey, it is what it is. We inherited lies from our fathers, as did they. So patience is always a good thing to try to exercise, and gentleness, and maybe sometimes I could be a little more gentle. But yeah, believe it or not, the module that is LEM, which was just coincidentally, the longtime high school best friend that was openly gay, that was best friends with JFK and lived in this White House. That was his name, and JFK is the actual president that announced we're going to go there. But those are just coincidences. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the module that looks like you gave a meth head a Home Depot gift card is not going to make it through a second law of thermodynamics defying medium, what would rip you to pieces, dude. And as soon as an astronaut on Earth even tests out like a vacuum that's not even comparable to the claim of that vacuum, it didn't go too well for him. His tongue started to boil. Believe it or not, I don't think you're going to shoot some aluminum foil up there. Like it's very dumb. And then this is what it comes down to, guys. If the moon landing isn't real, why they lie about it? Why haven't we gone back? Why is that the only real picture we've had of Earth from space in decades and decades? Globes ultra run around and say we have real pictures now. Of course, I just showed you. They just make cartoons, and they hope to match what it really is like. But we can only speculate, and we know it's possible out of all the spectrum of the colors, it could look like this, and it's just a thin line to walk between data and imagination. Okay, so they admit that these are just, dude, it's 2021. Supposedly there's someone that's supposedly about to take us to Mars, and we still got cartoons, bro. I think we should probably get to the real pictures and entirety part of the technology before we try to go to Mars and start a civilization. But speaking of, most of the people in the know, they've researched this. They found out that Wernher von Braun, psychopath that he is, the secretary that he had, said that the alien invasion is the final deception. They're going to lie about potential threats of asteroids, et cetera, et cetera. Wernher von Braun, the guy that had Psalm 19:1 on his gravestone, effectively was just trolling the whole world after he died and thought it was funny because it's, of course, about the firmament, antithetical to where he claimed to have gone. But he also, on his, the free time he had, not being a psychopathic grabbler, he was a science fiction author. And most of us have known about this, but this is now hitting the mainstream. Interesting. And for those, I will go ahead and ladle this gravy real blunt. Who cares? I told a bunch of people, man, look, if you're worshiping anyone and it means tons of time and obsession about someone, whether it's love or hate, it's within this beast system. You're falling for the trick. It's two wings of the same bird, but that bird is the beast system. There is no good coming out of it, period. It is the beast system. Donald Trump, of course, I said, is potentially the Antichrist, son of perdition, the man of lawlessness that will sign this Middle Eastern deal. He beats on his chest about Operation Warp Speed. He's printed on all of the coins over in Israel that say anointed, which, of course, coming from Hebrew means Moshiach. That's Messiah, right? That's where the word anointed comes from. And then little horn is how the Antichrist is referred to. And, of course, Trump is literally a little horn that they had back then. They had the trumpet, then the small horn, the little horn, which is called a trump. Then you put him and his VP together, you get trumpets. The Antichrist has to be Assyrian. Well, guess what? Donald Trump's Assyrian on his 66th floor of his Trump Tower. He has nothing but Apollo idolatry and worship. What would make the modern church of Christianity go apostate more effectively than Donald Trump? Well, he already did. They told him all that there's a pre-tribulation rapture. We don't have to worry about the son of perdition. We don't have to worry about the tribulation because we won't be here. So he can't be the Antichrist because I'm still here. There's no way I can go apostate because I'm perfect. I remember John 3:16 and got to make up all the rules. So yeah, I still think that's a strong possibility. You have to return to power, eventually going and ruling from Israel and then spearheading this Middle Eastern peace still. But I will say, watch out for this other little psychopathic grabbler that they've really propped up on the mainstream stage who says that he wants to put a chip in your head. But as pertinent to the discussion, so space being fake, let's just talk about how this is obviously not a coincidence. So Elon Musk's name appears in a 69-year-old book about colonizing Mars. Again, us as flat earthers who actually do diligent research, we found these things out as a community sharing with one another years ago. I read this years and years ago, but this is now being covered in the mainstream. It says May 8th. This was on like Facebook like just a couple of days ago from May 20th. So here we go. The Elon character is described as the leader of a Martian colony. Let's be honest, Elon Musk doesn't need his ego boosted any more than it currently is because he's cropped up all in the news and, proposes some genius that's likable from all angles. And he's messing around with the crypto a ton. He has tons of influence and is arguably one of the most famous people in the entire world. Certainly one of them. But that didn't stop Twitter users from resurfacing this curious piece of trivia. Yeah, it's a curious piece of trivia. That's what it is. About the Debunking of Tesla this week. He shares the same first name as a character in a 69-year-old nice book about colonizing Mars. It looks like a kindergartner wrote this piece, man. It began back in December 2020 when Twitter used Toby Lee responded to a tweet, Toby user, a tweet from Musk about his destiny, blah, 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 blah. Speaking about destiny, did you know that von Braun's 1953 book, Mars Project, referenced a person named Elon that would bring humans to Mars? Pretty nuts. All right, let's look at it. Of course, it is, in fact, real because we've all researched it. I think there are actually people on my channel, guys, that have never heard of this. There it is. Elon, Wernher von Braun, science fiction book about the first colonization on Mars. Oh, wow. I just pulled it up, but it didn't pull up on your screen. Sorry. I love you guys, but you can see it right here. Elon. Okay. Just a coincidence. We'll come down here. So Elon said, are we sure this is real? Now, this little creepy grabbler's known about this for a long time, bro. Obviously. Like, what a clown world. Yeah, it's real. This is the English transcript of the same book, but Elon, referred by von Braun in the book, isn't the name of the person, but rather the name of the position, something like an elected meritocratic president, which of course more accurately will be technocratic. But they're talking about Mars. All right, so the Martian government was directed by two men, the leader of whom was elected by universal suffrage for 5 years and entitled Elon. Two houses of parliament enacted the laws to be administered by the Elon and his cabinet. Now, it tells you that there's men. They were elected by universal suffrage for 5 years and entitled Elon. It was a title that they gave them. Yeah. So therefore, it isn't incredibly wild that the psychopathic SS officer that was put in charge of the space exploration program for the United States right after World War II, when we claimed that they were war criminals and they just got to skip the trials where supposedly all these war criminals were being tried for their atrocities, and rather than hang them, we just decided to actually revere them and prop them up as some type of technological scientific geniuses, even though they were giving us propulsion rocketry, which is archaic certainly in 2021 because it already was in the 60s, and as early as the 30s, the Germans themselves have blueprints of what we would call UFOs that were successful, numerous different styles of them with numerous different speed capabilities, etc. So of course, when they tell you that they discovered UFOs coming June 1st as a drip feed, it won't just be all over the news the next day. It'll be a drip feed. And when they start to tell you that this technology is not something that they can replicate, that they understand that any other government has, they're clearly lying. But also understand that I do think that there are metaphysical entities that can certainly present themselves that way and be able to fly, and maybe even they have a form of transportation that becomes perceivable in the material world, or maybe they're in control whenever that happens. Either way, in order to muddy the waters and confuse people, they've also tried to replicate these things. This is their little creepy religion. This is their belief system. They deify these metaphysical entities, and in fact, try to feed into them via their consciousness. So their compliance of their consciousness and their subconscious solely focused in on this collective goal to give power to this metaphysical entity or this group of metaphysical entities. And they, of course, believe that it makes them stronger individually, regarding intellect and reason and power and metaphysical truth and etc. So there you go. Of course, space is fake. I'm gonna talk to the questions. If there's anybody in here that really thinks the Earth's a magic, spinning cartoon ball that defies physics, I'll answer your questions. I know it's been a while since I did a flat Earth specific stream. So yeah, anyway, again, the second law of thermodynamics necessitates that entropy will increase. When I say necessitate, I mean that. It's a natural law, guys. It's a natural law. It always happens. This isn't debatable. Pressure will always mediate. Write that down, because that's like the most important thing you should go into any of this with, is understanding that pressure will always mediate. That's how magnetism works. It's because there's a perpetual field of energy because the pressure is being mediated, right? Pressure is always being mediated. That's actually what the energy field is doing. It's seeking equilibrium. It's mediating pressure. Your quote unquote weight, which is not mass times gravity. Of course, mass is conceptual quantification of the reification of gravity. That's not word salad. The conceptual quantification. So conceptually, we have counted and quantified matter by reifying gravity. So that doesn't mean anything. And actually, whenever you look into weight, you're going to have to look into density and medium and vector and coherency and location. These are many factors and variables that aren't even accounted for in mg. Of course, g is not exclusive to the globe Earth. It's nothing more than the effect of 9.8 meters per second squared downward acceleration. That's an effect gravity claims to be the cause of. So you don't get to hijack the effect and then get an agreed upon average that literally happens on the Earth and isn't exclusive to your globe Earth fairy tale, and then say, wow, this somehow proves the cause claim. That's a non sequitur to this actual effect that I've quantified with an average. It's very stupid. I mean, as you guys can see, I'm basically like a robot with the flat Earth debate at this point. But I think that you guys are following me. So anyway, the whole point that I was making with all of that is really, weight is just pressure mediation. Everything is pressure mediation. That's why I throw a beach ball up in the air, it goes down, it's less dense in the surrounding air. And of course, I'll bring it to the bottom of a pool, it will go up. This is because pressure mediates always. Of course, that matter is intrinsically electrostatic, as is the medium it's encompassed in both scenarios. So to try to dismiss electrostatics from the equation entirely, when it's objectively a variable that you cannot isolate and manipulate and or control, right? So that doesn't have an effect. You can't say it's not a part of everything. Everything's electric, every single thing. The Earth is electric. It's a dielectric plane. There seems to be a magnetic field that we're encompassed in. And, things always seek their equilibrium. So it is what it is. So there you go. That's my whole point with all of that is very simple, that everything is pressure mediation. And so we know this. This is like an overarching truth that's just inevitable, objective, not debatable about where we live, about the existence of the natural world. And the globe Earth makes a claim blatantly antithetical to this. It literally claims that there's a pressurized system adjacent to a near perfect vacuum of 10 to the negative 17 torr. That's a very, very, very low pressure system. Of course, just conceptual, and they made it up. But the problem is that the pressure would fill the available space. The pressure that we breathe, the air pressure, 14.7 psi at the surface, this would equalize. It would fill the available space. Now, people will say, no, if there was a container to equalize, we have a gradient. No, it wouldn't. There's a gas cycle that's predominant at the surface. There's a higher concentration of gas being introduced at the surface, and we have weather patterns, and we also don't understand the full makeup of the medium all the way to the container, or what the container is, or what the electric nature of the container is, or the sun and the moon. They're playing a role in this. And the fact is, that's all very, very relevant. If you don't know the mediums or the change within pressure mediation relative to the mediums that are objective, then you can never really fully understand the specifics of the gradient in entirety. And some people are like, "Oh, look, you don't even know an answer." So that means that my answer that literally defies physics and has no physical evidence and can never exist ever and has been falsified somehow is still true, even though falsification is independent of replacement. And when you try to convince me that Santa's real, I don't have to come up with a new fairy tale of some fat guy from the North Pole before Santa Claus isn't real. I don't have to replace your fairy tale. Falsification is independent of replacement. And of course, the only way you can add pressure is that it's contained. So literally outer space is fake. They show us nothing but cartoons. So they take $60 million a day to give you animations and cartoons. I know that some people here just need to hear this. You need to just open your mind. I get it. It's a big red pill, but are you going to be honest or are you going to lie? So you can't have pressure without a container. It's in the word pressure. It presses on the walls of a container. So we have elastic collisions of gas molecules. They hit each other and they also hit the walls of the container, building up pressure. Without the container, it would continue to just fill the available space, constantly seeking equilibrium. So spontaneous equilibrium will be sought, although of course not sentient, and entropy will increase, period. So the claim they've made literally can't happen. It literally can't happen. And then just think about this. Applying the second law of thermodynamics, tell me exactly how you have a planet that's a giant gas body in a vacuum. Like, it's just dumb, bro. It's effectively dumb at this time. So what they're going to do with space, I don't know. I'm really on the fence. I think that they may absorb flat Earth. I also think that people are so brainwashable now, that they really can just they can go hard on like a space propaganda tour basically and just hit you with all kinds of CGI and updated animations about space and all these things that get you in your emotion. And they show us them going to different planets, and they appeal to like basically the child in you that's like, I want to go to Mars, and blah, blah, blah. Maybe they do that. Maybe people fall for that. I don't know. I find it hard to believe. I think the metaphysical entities come in and they tell us a bunch of truth. And the truth is that you can find this truth without them. You don't need them. You don't need them to tell you about how you have metaphysical power. The Messiah did that for himself. We can just go listen to the words of the Messiah. We don't need to listen to some, psychopaths that come in to save the day, as long as that will effectively worship them and like let them rule over us with their new rules and guidelines. So there you go. If people don't understand this, that's not my problem. I think this guy's a glober right here, so let's see what he says. But don't block the glober. We'll just show everyone. This will be perfect for the viewer. Hopefully he doesn't run away. They can see how pathetic. See, I'm like super tired right now, and your entire argument's going to be dismantled every time, bro. I tried to prove your side, dude. That's why I'm here. So let's see. Pressure gradient. So I already explained this once, but let's try to explain it to him again, okay? So the pressure gradient is the differential in the pressure throughout the system, okay? This is a closed dynamic system. So we're talking about, how do you even have the pressure? In order to have pressure, you have to have containment. Gradient is a characteristic of the pressure. That is a quantitative relationship. We are discussing the antecedent relationship, meaning the requirement. The requirement for gas pressure is containment. So prior to us quantifying the differential in the pressure, we have to address the antecedent of having the pressure in the first place. We're trying to figure out X. You're skipping to delta X, a change in X, reifying assuming X, skipping over the fact that your model makes a claim that can't be true regarding the existence of X. So hopefully you understood it that way. Glober in 2021, LOL. Yeah, I agree. You're way behind, but that's why I think that they're going to absorb the flat earth. I think that, you know, look, man, everyone just swallow your pride and read the scriptures, man, and pray and seek discernment from the Father through Yeshua, the Messiah, who's our atonement. He really will help you out, man, and he'll answer you. He won't leave you hanging. And that's definitely what you're going to want to know to make it through these times. Not just that the earth doesn't defy physics, where water bends convexly around the exterior of a spinning spherical object. What a joke. And it's in a vacuum. Yeah, it's such a cool story, bro. If we lived in a pressurized, contained environment, it would be equal pressure top to bottom. All right, maybe we are going to have to block this guy because I'm thinking that maybe he's just trolling, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's just in the stupid state that most globe earthers are. Not his fault necessarily, but because he's been brainwashed. We'll try and be really, really patient with this guy. Because I will block you if I feel like you're clearly trolling, so you need to listen. I've already addressed that once. I'll do it again. If we lived in a pressurized, contained environment, it would be equal pressure top to bottom. This is not true for a plethora of reasons. One of them being, hey, instead of typing so much, I think you should listen, man. Okay, so one of the reasons that we don't have equalized pressure from top to bottom is, for one, we have layers of density, right? We have layers of density of airs. In addition to that, we have introduction of gas always going on at a higher rate at the surface of the earth. This is because we have tons of vegetation on the earth. We have tons of animal lives and humans on the earth. We have all kinds of gas production on the surface, factories, cars, constantly. We have a much higher concentration of gas in general at the surface. Much of it is actually staying at the surface area because of the cycles. In addition to that, we also have change in temperature patterns, okay, and that will affect the dispersal of gas. And in addition to that, you can't even actually quantify the gas pressure all the way to the top because you can't get there, and it's literally illegal for us to go try and do it. And it doesn't matter because I just answered we can replicate this with observable phenomena in numerous different ways. We can actually demonstrate every bit of this. You can have a closed contained system. You can put gas in there and build up pressure, and then you can actually continue the gas being introduced at the surface level. You'll have a higher density at the surface where the gas is being introduced. So we can replicate it literally. We can show you that it's possible and viable. You can't even get to the pressure part. You can't even get close to explaining the gradient on a globe earth because you can't even explain the actual pressure part. But you're not understanding that. I'm getting dizzy with the word salad. All right, yep. I'm just using this guy for a good teaching tool, guys. So that's why we're going to be patient with him. He's obviously a little out of his league here, or just being a troll, or both. Anyway, that word sounds when you say something that isn't coherent, not whenever you string together a coherent, specific, substantive point. You just use different adjectives to make your point more specific. That's actually the opposite of word salad, an attempt to confuse a listener by saying something that is in no way relevant to the point. It doesn't say you can't use words with a few syllables in them so the remedial people can hear you. It's that you actually make a coherent point specific to the subject, and I use adjectives to make it very, very specific. Okay, so try again. Tony's a little slow. Yeah, for sure, dude. Be gentle with him. Saying word salad isn't an argument. Grow up. No, but it is funny. It is funny when we can when I'm not in a debate, I can really just take my time and expose this nonsense where when I say it really slow, I don't think people can really accuse me of word salad. Even they'll keep up with it. Tony, slow it down to 0.5x so you can understand. I literally feel like this is one of the slowest speaking streams I've done in months. It's because I'm tired. My eyelids are heavy. It's all about control, power, and money. Yeah, sure, and numerous other things attaching you from the Creator, Yehovah. And I'm not, call him what you call him. It actually says that if you call him by the wrong name, no worries. He's going to search the sincerity of your heart, but. Yeah, Yehovah, Yeshua, Yehoshua. I wasn't saying word salad, just saying. I only have 115 IQ, and even I understand. Yeah, it's very simple stuff, man. Pressure always fills the available space. Outer space is fake. And I just showed you guys them literally talking about that they're just cartoons. That's what's so funny. This is an actual picture from NASA.gov, who we give $60 million a day, who's supposedly already been to the moon decades ago, like over 50 years ago. Okay. And this is the picture of them talking about going back to the moon. This is what's on NASA.gov's website about the moon. It literally looks like it was made in PowerPoint, bro. I can actually make this in PowerPoint. That's how stupid that looks. And no, they don't say that's real. That's real. The point is, why are we being shown that as grown men in 2021? They're showing grown men and women this as if it has some bearing on reality. Wait, look at it again. That's what they're showing us to get us excited about going to the moon that we can't go to. Look at it again. Oh, never mind. Can't do it. I thought I had the space is fake thumbnail over there. Anyway, this is obviously not real. It's as real as this picture. But these are just not real. I'm sorry that if you're a grown man and it upsets you that I don't believe in your cartoons, who's really being weird here? Like, can we be honest? Who's really making this weird? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't believe in your cartoons, bro. It's not my thing. I don't want to just believe in your cartoons. I don't trust the government. They said that paper passports popped out of fire. I consider them incompetent. Their official narrative is consistently incompetent. I even think that the highest levels of intel and compartmentalization is incompetent because they don't know the true creator and they're actually building up the beast system in opposition to him. I consider that to be basically the epitome of incompetence. I don't just trust the government. They've admitted that they started wars. Gulf of Tonkin, declassified. False flag attack, declassified. That they started an entire war. That Operation Mockingbird, declassified. They infiltrated the media to control the public narrative, to be complicit with their agenda for geopolitical and national security reasons and purposes. I don't trust them. I don't trust the people that go in, they go explore south and then come out with NASA right after that and the Antarctic Treaty right after that. So you can't go find out what's there, but don't worry, we'll go to space. Look, here's a rocket that's going to start bending over the water, but it's going to go to the moon. I promise. This rock that's way past some radiation we just got to ignore in aluminum foil, then call the president with no delay. But we can't go back. Even though my iPhone has like higher processing capability than an entire warehouse of computers back then, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Like, I don't want to blindly believe your story, so give me some evidence. What's the best evidence you have for the Earth's a globe? Literally, the best evidence you have is cartoon pictures, bro. Like, put yourself in my shoes. You know, just think about being honest here for a second. That's not cutting it for me. Yeah, I think they should be able to make PowerPoint cartoons for $60 million a day. Isn't it sketchy to you that we don't have a live stream of the Earth in entirety? Why don't we just get to see the Earth spin? Where's the picture of us just getting to see the Earth and the moon and the sun all in a picture? Why don't we get an eclipse from the outside? Why don't we ever get to see any of these pictures? Wait, why don't we get to zoom in on the bottom of the globe and just see things upside down? Why can't I see a rocket re-enter the atmosphere from beginning to end without any edits? Why can't I see that? What's going on? Why do we not have a station with like high definition cameras and observatory set up on the moon already? Why did we not stay on the moon as the United States so we could have the most efficient tactical positioning in military history? Why is it that we haven't been back there? It's a painful process to build it back. That's what one of your little creepy astronauts had to say. Don Pettit literally said it's painful. He's invoking an emotion. Now this is just getting weird. It sounds like you're in a religion, bro, and it's okay, because you can break out of the religion. It's just a cult. But we're just over here letting you know you're in a cult, bro. They indoctrinated you into a cult when you were young. So it's not really your fault. But now you have the responsibility of actually seeking the truth. The Earth is not a ball that defies physics. Fluid statics necessitates that water always conforms to its container and seeks its level, always, forever. And every single thing that we have in the world regarding elevation, every single piece of data, every recording, every single elevation measurement in the world assumes a local level C to measure the distance above it. So when we get sea level all over the world, we assume the water to be level so that we can measure a elevation distance above it. Okay, so we measure distance to get elevation relative to assumed level. That's all over the world. Wherever you're at, it happens there too. All over the world. Okay, fluid statics shows you that water always conforms to its container and seeks its level. We put liquid in levels, okay? It's just objective. This is just an objective reality of the world. You think 70% of the earth is this water that always finds its level, and it's all bending. 70% of it's bending convexly around a spherical object on the outside while it's spinning and revolving in a near perfect vacuum. So you can't make claims antithetical to natural law without any empirical evidence. Yeah, I know the second law of thermodynamics necessitates that entropy will increase and pressure will fill the available space, but space and time bend and warp, even though those are concepts and their physical properties of dilation and bending and warping, and you can't attribute physical properties to conceptual abstraction, so it's technically a reification fallacy, taking an abstraction, a construct, a concept, and giving it misplaced concreteness. But even though it's literally not even, it's inadmissible on its face because it's a reification. There's no empirical evidence of it at all. We've never independently verified or manipulated space-time bending and warping and curving. Of course not. But this theory that literally isn't even sufficient, it actually supersedes natural law because it's antithetical to it. You can't have them both. So you have the second law of thermodynamics. No, we got the theory of relativity, right? And people stick their chest out and say, they both exist. What a stupid flat earther. No. You don't understand why they can't, or you're not honest enough to understand why they can't because you're like, no, Harvard would agree with me. And really, most of them don't. And when you go read their papers, they can't explain the globe earth. They still can't explain the magnetic field. I do go read their papers. I read Harvard and Stanford and Yale just so I can know what your priesthood says. Most of the people in the trenches haven't caught up to the priesthood, and it's the priesthood of academia consensus. And I don't use these terms just to be polarizing or to upset you or anything. I'm trying to shake through to your cognitus. They're very specifically denoted terms for a reason. It is a priesthood. You just blindly believe. You have faith in the belief system of the hierarchy of academia and consensus, where they give you information filtered down to you under the assumption, well, there are people that are specialized in this and smarter than me that do this for a living, so whatever they say has to be true. You're just blindly believing in the doctrine of men. This is literally a religion, a belief system built upon the doctrine of men, void of empirical evidence. I'm actually not religious, and I do have actual evidence, but it's, many people say anecdotal. Of course, the scripture is the most historically accurate compilation that ever exists in the history of mankind. Yeshua is the most historically accurate figure to ever exist in the history of mankind. And if you actually humble yourself and you seek him, he will respond to you, and you will know very quickly this is very real. It depends on if are you maybe not ready for that? Are you not willing to make the changes that come with that? I don't know. That is what it is, but many of you guys are afraid to acknowledge the fact that the earth's immovable and fixed and stationary, and that you'll never, ever be able to prove anything otherwise. And that they tell us that when we see the sun move away from us in the distance, it's actually setting, that, well, it's not. Actually, the sun is sitting still, but we're falling backwards 1,040 miles per hour, and it just looks like the sun is moving. And that whenever we look and take time lapse of the star trails, and they do a perfect circle over top of us, actually the sky is still and the earth is moving. It just looks like the sky is moving while the earth feels still, but is actually still moving. You just can't tell. So the earth is never detected to be moving, but just assume that it is moving. Believe us. And the sky always looks like it's moving, but it's never actually moving. Just believe us. And all the stuff in the sky looks like it's moving away from you. It's where you can't see in the distance anymore on the vanishing point of the horizon. But no, actually, that's all still. We're just spinning. And yeah, we have an eclipse. And see, what a lunar eclipse is where the earth actually blocks the light from the sun onto the moon, right? But we have this one eclipse called the Selenilian eclipse, also known as the impossible eclipse, where the sun and the moon are both above the horizon during the eclipse. So let me do this for you guys. If you have the sun here and the moon here, but the earth is down here, and it's supposedly a ball blocking the sun from getting to the moon, then how would it be a full eclipse up above the horizon? And why would the shadow be coming from the bottom up? Oh, don't worry about that. It just happens. Refractions. It's magical, gravitational, bendy, warpy, dilated space-time refraction of the 10th degree. We haven't quantified it yet. We can't tell you how we can predict it. We just know it has to be there because it doesn't match our heliocentric model, and we've actually called it the impossible eclipse. It's called the Selenilian eclipse. And of course, then we'll go look at the radiation background in sky in space, and what we'll actually find out is that, well, the Earth seems to be the center of everything, and there's equal dispersal in all directions relative to Earth as the central point. And actually, the galaxies line up perfectly over top of the middle of the Earth, over top of the Earth, not the ball Earth, over what people, the arbitrary line people call the equator. So the supposed galaxies, which are just parts of the sky that they've isolated, they line up perfectly over the center. So we'll coin it the axis of evil, because that can't be true, because that would actually show that the Earth's in a favored position. So this is an attack from the enemy to Jehovah, the enemies, dare I say, right? Because you are collectively opposition, in my opinion. And so, yeah, the Earth's immovable and fixed, geostationary or geocentric. It's stationary. It never will move. It's the center of everything. The sky moves over top of it. It's a clock that resets. It's for signs and it's for wonders. It's moving around Polaris for all recordable history right over the center of the Earth, as it's the center sky. That's why, of course, never will you find a globe earther ever claim that they have the observation of the 90-degree zenith angle at the North Pole star underneath or above the geographic North Pole. So if there's a ball, all you got to do is, supposedly we can go on tours there, go to the geographic North Pole, measure the 90-degree zenith angle straight up to the center of the sky's rotation, but that doesn't exist in 2021. The most famous picture that would have ever been taken doesn't exist. We're not allowed to go try to independently verify that. No big deal. You're not allowed to even go traverse that area and prove what's at the center or at, the center of the flat Earth or what they call the North Pole. But no big deal. Just believe them. You're not allowed to go to past the 60 south latitude and actually see what's out there. But there's no way they would lie to you. Oh yeah, you're spinning 66,600 miles per hour around the sun while you're also rotating on an axis tilt of 66.6 degrees, going 1,040 miles per hour east at the equator. You'll never feel any of these movements. Don't worry about it. And just 66.6 everywhere, but it's all just coincidences. And the nautical miles of the Earth in circumference is actually 21,600. 6 times 6 times 600, as the diameter is 2160. 6 times 6 times 60. But no, these are all coincidences. The diameter of the moon just happens to be 6 times 6 times 60. And yeah, we just happen to have a 0.666 feet per mile curvature drop rate, but don't worry about it. These are all coincidences. And actually, the creator of all things decided to confuse you from the jump, and you won't feel like you're moving because you actually are moving. Ha ha, I tricked you. And there's only one author of confusion, and that is those in opposition to the will of the Father. I'm hoping that there are some globe earthers that actually listen to that, maybe step on off of that ledge, bro. That tangent point doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a geometric horizon observed anywhere on the Earth that's curving at a rate of 1.225 from the square root of the observer side in feet. It doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Does not exist. It's okay. We're going to move on now. We're going to move on as a truth community. We're going to move on from the fact that the Earth doesn't defy physics. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. If you want to be open-minded and you're willing to swallow the bread pill that, well, a bunch of these nations must be working together. They're hiding what the true nature of the Earth is. They're stealing money from us. They're lying to children. NASA isn't the one governmental agency that's the exception that doesn't lie to us. They all lied to us. It's the beast system. And if you want to take the step back and be like, dang, I might have to swallow a little bit of pride here. I might have to implement a little bit of humility. It's maybe a little uncomfortable for me. I may have to re-examine a lot of other things that I handwave dismissed as crazy conspiracy theorists because I never was honest about the fact that powerful people get together behind closed doors and try to come up with plans to actually control those of people that they would say are not in the know. And now I have to look at the Earth a little bit differently. Maybe I have to be a little bit humble when it comes to apologizing to certain people about how I treated them regarding this. If you're going to let all of those prideful, egotistical things get in the way of your pursuit of truth, then maybe you're not ready. But if you are ready, come holler at us. We'll hook you up, dude, with all the information. No big deal. But it's time that we move on. It's time that we know that the Earth is a geocentric stationary plane. We look at the sky, understand that's for signs and wonders, and it's time that we understand how to look at the sky and know when the month starts, know when we start the new year, to know when the Moadim are, the appointed times, the appointments, right? Because we have appointed times, the Yehovah, the one true creator, Yah just wants to come and meet with us. He literally wants to come and meet with us, and he gave us appointments, and we're supposed to be able to read the sky in order to know that. And whenever they just confuse everyone about what they think the sky is and what's going on in the sky, and much less do they understand that it's a beautiful, majestic clock made over top of you so that it can give you signs and times and wonders so you'll know the appointed times he wants to meet with you. And they came in with pagan holidays to hide all of it. The rabbit hole doesn't necessarily end overnight. We're still kind of falling down it, but it's just actually a relief. And you may think you're going to be free falling. The truth is you effectively feel like you're floating and there's a burden lifted off of you because now you don't have to run around confused, lying to yourself and hiding from truth. Now you actually just get to stand up bold, not being fearful of death because you know the Father's real and you have a relationship with him and you get to seek and speak truth unequivocally and help other people out. So there you go. That's how I feel about all that, bro. Tony, turn your. Is Tony still in here? I just started ignoring him. Classic conspiracy mindset. All right, Tony, you might be, dude. I hate to be this guy, man, and I'm not gonna say that you are hopeless, man, but you're venturing over towards let the dead bury the dead. You're typing too much nonsense to be listening, bro. But if you ever want to actually know the truth, feel free to come in here and not act like a crazy person. And I really don't censor people on here unless they just really get carried away. So you start spamming in all caps and nonsense and saying crazy stuff and just talking trash constantly. You will get blocked. You sound like a gamma male. I'm just trying to be patient with you. Lay off the caffeine. Actually, if I wasn't drinking this cup of ice cold coffee, I would have already fell asleep. I just remember that I promised everyone I would do a stream tonight. And then I looked and saw Karen was live and didn't want to override that or like, you know, intersect with that. So I just put it off. Don't say I don't love you guys. Yeah, that's what I had set up for you. Let's see what you're talking about. What you guys talking about? Someone dropped that beat. I've been wanting to. I do gotta spit something else sometime, man. I'm tripping. Oh yeah, and by the way, it's pretty obvious what's going on. Let's just, of course, I obviously have to be a bit coded here, but those that have agreed to be genetically modified can now breathe air freely again because we've been given permission if you're willing to genetically modify yourself. Oh, no, now we have a problem. We can't tell between those genetically modified and those not because everyone's breathing oxygen. So what we're going to have to do is give you a little card that brags about your genetic modification so that we can distinguish because now there's no more telling the difference. It's clearly what's going on here. So prepare for that. All right, Tony, for what I'm going to say now is just stop commenting. You send any more like dumb little gamma insults, I'm going to block you because you're just popping up so much that you're getting in the way of the other chats. You know, that's actually the reason I'm going to end up blocking. Papers, please. Exactly. That's exactly right. And there will be people like this just running around, just throwing dirt on us that are like risking it all to go out there and try to warn them in time. And they don't realize that we're doing it for them. But hey, man, not everyone has eyes to see or ears to hear. You look tired, fam. I am tired, bro. I just didn't want to leave you guys hanging. I wanted to come chill. I got to get up early and finish all the last little bit of moving and then cleaning out the crib. You know what I'm saying? Can't read that. Austin, appreciate you. Thanks. You guys be saying stuff in the chats. You know I can't read. You know I can't read. I got one more strike and I'm terminated. We got to make it till June 7th. June 7th and one of my strikes expire, I think, and then we can have a little more leeway. I might try to go to Rockfin too. But I mean, I would just do like one. If I was on there personally, I'd just do like one a week, even if it was like my channel that was on there. Or maybe I'll use Glowbusters, just so we can like at least get a weekly like you know, like no watching what I say or like stopping the natural thought process like in the stream, because I have to like be calculated with my speech. And sometimes like, and the reason that I actually talk fast, like the actual truth is the reason I talk fast is I won't be able to make my full point if I don't. Like for me, I'm just like, I literally like have to kind of try to catch up to what all I'm wanting to say, if that makes sense. Like while I'm talking, I'm thinking about the next part. And so I want to hurry up and make sure I get my full point out there before I don't want it to get lost. So I speed up. And then like, in my opinion, in my mind, when that's happening is when I use like maybe a little bit bigger words, but they're more specific, and I'm actually going to be saving time. I'm going to get the message across the fastest, the most efficiently. So that's why I do that. It's not some like, oh guys, look, I must be right because I can talk fast. Like, no, just how I can, that's how I fully express myself, honestly. You know, everyone's different, man. Go make your own YouTube. I detox myself from childhood inoculations. That's what's up, bro. Super awesome. Letting gamers have it. Boom. What's up? What up, bro? Chilling. What's my thoughts on Israel? I don't know. I wonder, is it real? Geopolitically, we in a field that's for Israel. I wonder, is it real? Where doesn't end a claim, but it isn't real. I think that's an orchestrated dilemma that was predicted hundreds of years ago in Masonic literature so that it can justify the quote-unquote wiping out of Christianity because the quote-unquote God didn't protect quote-unquote Israel, so the Bible must not be true. And then there will be a peace deal that swoops in on the end of this, somehow getting these ideological adversaries that could never agree, right? Because they have an ideological premise they disagree on. This war will never end. It's kind of like the war on terror, a war on an ideal that's stupid. But of course, somehow they managed to pull off a peace talk and peace deal between these two parties whenever the central figure is the one that spearheads it. So yeah, I think there's some damage while they just effectively throw U.S. tax dollar back and forth at each other. and then Israel will suffer some damage. People will think, oh, wow, that can't be right. And then they just come in to save the day. That's kind of how I feel. I don't watch the news. If I'm around the news, I start to feel physically sick. I'm not even exaggerating at all. I can, like, it makes my stomach hurt really bad. Like, I feel really bad. So I don't really watch the news or anything. I just kind of keep up through fellow truthers. McLooney Tunes is hating on our brother. Who is that? He's hating on everybody, bro. If he hates on you, dude, just consider it an honor. That means you're probably over the mark. Dude hates on everybody. Even after I put him in his little place this week on Facebook. Some people just never learn. They just drain your energy. I was thinking about deleting that little response video I did to that one Gamma dude, because it's like I feel like that's what they live for. I think that I wanted to address the misconceptions within the doctrine, because I think it's such a dangerous thing. And any man who teaches men to turn away from the law will be considered the least among them. For me, I consider that to not be something that you want to mess with. Do not take away from, right? So do not add or take away. Well, if you take away the entire Torah, I think that's taking away from. So yeah, I think that that's a dangerous thing. And of course, I actually agree with a lot of these people when they say, if I was saying that you have to get a certain checklist of works done before you get salvation, that I would be wrong and that would be dangerous. And I would actually agree with any condemnation of that. But I, of course, never say that, never have said that, and try to be abundantly clear that isn't the case. So anyway, my whole point was I'm thinking about deleting that just because I don't even care to feed into negativity, to be honest. I just think it's dumb. I do think that sometimes I'm called to expose some people, and I don't know, I'm on the fence about it, but what's a good talker? He's like a white Don King. Grabbler Tube didn't notify me. Yeah, of course not, bro. No worries. That means everything's still normal. Your body does not need foreign substances. That's correct. In fact, synthetic introduction weakens the immune system, and actually, if you'll just get out of your body's way, like, I don't know, fast and eat, just drink water, it'll heal itself. I'm talking about Latter-day Saints, brother. McToon's hating on him. Yeah, McLooney Tune is always hating on everyone because he hates on himself, and via self-projection of his own insecurities, he really can't help but do that. So I don't really want to talk about him anymore, just because he like lives for us to say his name because he's a Gamma male. But Latter-day Saints is a legend. Go support my boy Latter-day Saints, F-L-A-T-T-E-R Day Saints, like Latter-day Saints, only Latter-day Saints. And I would be flattered if you go help my homie out. That's what he always says. I'm just saying though, he is hilarious. I'm just saying though, like, he actually is hilarious. So yeah, support him out. They're obviously already going to strike him, but whatever, dude. Anyone that goes out into the world and speaks the truth and tries to compose themselves with love and humility and still get it out there with the right reason, dude, got all my props in the world. No one cares about what that clown show is saying. Let's just go support Latter-day Saints. I subbed Flatter. That's what I'm talking about, bro. Guys, I can't actually read them. I'm sorry. I love you, but I can't read that word right now. What a clown world. I can't read off a word that's like the most relevant word in our existence right now. In the country we live in, no matter where it is, in the world that's going on right now, the most relevant word to all of our existence, I can't even say on YouTube, the world's biggest platform of live streams. I mean, that's crazy, bro, if you really think about it. If FDS wasn't getting hated, he wouldn't be doing anything right. But they hate, so you know FDS hitting some nerves. Yeah, for sure. He's hilarious. I definitely would love to get him up to 1,000, man, so he can go live. And then I'm gonna help Chris make a channel. We're gonna have a little backup of this. So we'll have 2 or 3 backups. Odyssey, maybe Rockfin. You get the gist. Blood plasma is the 50% of the yellow liquid. I'm just... Oh, Shooter Science, medical misinformation. This is not medical advice, but please don't genetically modify yourself with no actual experimental data to prove the efficacy or safety of that. That would be a terrible decision. In fact, here's the kicker. You were created beautifully and in the image of the Creator, and so he specifically made you a certain way. And for you to alter that, well, that seems a little out of pocket because, well, the Creator of all things made you. So why would you allow creepy psychopathic men to change that? I would say that's something that we should all collectively agree on is weird. Odyssey is good, Austin. Yeah, that's what I hear. But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up. Yeah, I think that might get used a little bit to push once saved, always saved. But I don't think that's necessarily what you're doing. The word starts with a C or a V. Yeah, you can't even say these stupid words, man. Links to his channel. I don't know if any one of the mods wants to link it. You don't have to if you don't want to, but yeah, just if you just go to YouTube and type in Latter-day Saints, so FLATTER space DAY space SAINTS, or I could just do this right here. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when it come for you? Here we go. We got you. My boy's up at 309. I'm gonna need him to get up to 1,000 though. We need him to get a stack up in here, bro. Latter-day Saints. There you go, guys. Yeah. All right. I just know that he's being censored pretty heavily right now, and he's cool, man. Support it. Support anyone that goes up there and speaks the truth. That's what I say. Anthony Bear, thank you for the super chat and support. For the $10, much love, much appreciated, brother man. Yeah. I don't even want to talk about the gamma males anymore, man. I've had enough. I had a whole entire stream where I had to respond to one today. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm super tired. I rocked out with you guys for an hour though. I love you. Sorry it wasn't maybe the best stream ever because I'm tired, but I love you guys anyway. I'll check the donations in a second. But basically, the conclusion and the recap of the stream is they straight up admit that NASA is cartoons. And since we have way more people on here right now, actually, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to play the little video where they just straight up tell you that everything that they make is fake. So we're going to watch just like not even 2 minutes long, but I'm going to play it for you guys again for all the people that weren't in here earlier. Yes, space is fake. Outer space is fake. It isn't real. We don't have real 4K high definition footage in live time. We can't see rockets re-entering the atmosphere or buildings upside down or eclipses from the outside or even the sun, moon, and the earth all in the same picture or the earth in entirety live time. Nothing like that. It's 2021 and we were supposedly on the moon where we could see the entire earth at once back in the 60s, but we still don't have any of that. What we proud to have this right here. How dare you not appreciate this beautiful, beautiful imagery? So space is so real that this is the best we got. Here we go.
They are images that inspire, educate, and sometimes just make us say, wow.
Yeah.
Over the years, NASA has given us spectacular photos and renderings that reveal a colorful and mysterious universe.
No doubt. And now Chris Martinez is introducing us to some of the most iconic space art in the galaxy.
In a small, bright office, working side by side,
Let's see.
Robert Hurt and Tim Pyle bring the universe to life.
What we're doing does have real science underlying it.
Hurt is an astrophysicist turned artist. Tim, once a Hollywood animator, is now a planet illustrator. Together.
Oh, wow. He was once a Hollywood animator. So he has a really scientific resume.
They produce some of NASA's most...
And by the way, astrophysics is pseudoscience. They don't have one single viable scientific hypothesis in the history of that field, nor have they ever manipulated and varied an independent variable, proving that is in fact the independent variable, i.e. the cause of the effect, the observable phenomenon that is the dependent variable. It has nothing to do with science. It masquerades as science. It drowns itself in math magicians' nonsense. It is pseudoscience. Let's continue.
Popular images, from renderings of how planets light years away could look to actual photos of stars and galaxies captured by NASA's powerful telescopes.
And this is sort of how it comes to me. And then
Many of those images have a dark grainy start, but color and light reveal an astonishing glimpse deepest regions of space might appear to the human eye.
Yeah, might appear to the human eye. This is a cartoon. You guys are grown men. It's time to let it go. This is a cartoon. We show this to children. We show this to little girls and boys when they're like 5 or 6. We give them cartoons to appease their imagination. It's time that we grow up. If the best that they're going to give you to tell you that space is real is cartoons in 2021, right? It's time that we let it go.
What I'm trying to do is show people sort of the broader colors that the universe has to offer.
It's a delicate blend of imagination and data. The artists meet with NASA scientists over many drafts to ensure a planet or galaxy's look lines up with the research to make each one as accurate as possible.
I love the challenge. It's kind of like a puzzle to me of trying to create something that looks really cool within the restrictions that were given by the science.
Of course, he doesn't have a beard.
It can take days, even weeks, to produce just a single image. The dazzling final results, enough to keep us all dreaming of the final frontier for years to come.
Yeah, they straight up. I just think it's hilarious that they end it with just to keep us all dreaming of the final frontier for years to come. And space may be the final frontier, but it is made in a Hollywood basement. Someone in one of the comments asked me if I could touch on marriage, scripturally speaking. That's something that I am currently looking into and learning a lot about as well. It's not super complicated, though, as it normally isn't. Divinity is simplicity, Jehovah being perfect existence in all ways. Everything that he created for us is very logical, in order, and simplistic and beautiful at the same time. It's like a simplistic complexity when it comes to, but anyway, you're not supposed to run around having sex before marriage. Back in the day, typically, families would actually be fellow believers, and they would kind of set their children up in the sense that they would hang out and grow up together and already be really close to one another. Like, I think that your son would be a good husband for my daughter. Whenever they're older, maybe we should keep them together. That was the ideal situation. Anyway, typically people weren't running around just being psychopaths, sunken in depravity, except for a few major exclusions. Whenever the scripturally proper way to be married is laid out, the woman's obviously not running around having sex with everybody. The woman doesn't have sex with her husband before they're husband and wife. And in fact, the actual wedding, right? So actually the stamp on being married is the sex itself. Like, when they have sex, they are married. And as speaking regarding Torah, any female that you have sex with, you are to protect and provide for them forever and all their children. You're supposed to be fruitful and increase, be fruitful and multiply, as many have heard it coined. So we are supposed to take a wife and make babies. And it's that simple. You're supposed to also get the approval of the father. This is a very pure sentiment that's been tainted by modern society. You just go ask them, and now that's like unheard of. And if anyone does it, they're really propped up as like to be drowning in nobility. But the truth is, the father basically gives a list of requirements, and in today's society they would seem wild, but they are not. They're a way to show your adoration and care and dedication to his daughter, right? So say they want some livestock, so they want a couple goats or whatever it is, then they get a couple goats. If they want some silver and gold, and they get some silver and gold. It's how it would be back then. And whatever list of regular, let's just say the parameters that the father approves, then you adhere by then taking at least a promise towards his daughter, and then you continue to kind of what we would call date. And then when you have sex, you're officially married. Is there a white wedding dress where everyone spends thousands of dollars on stupid clothes they have to return, or they buy just to keep in their closet forever, where they can't fit it in a few years later? No. Is everyone supposed to like drown in makeup and have their little buddies behind them? No. Are people supposed to spend tens and tens of thousands of dollars and immediately go into debt as the beginning stages of their marriage, so that they can uphold like some exterior perspective to everyone else, where like, oh, look, I'm a special boy, I had a wedding. Oh, look, I'm a special girl, I had a... No, nothing like that. So there's what that basically is. So basically you want, speaking to the men, which are, any of the younger men that are single, you want to get focused yourself, attached from the lust, the fleshly desire, where you just want to be promiscuous or whatever it is, premarital sex. You want to detach from that sin, overcome it, detach from fornication, and be very upfront and blunt to any females. If we're dating, we're not just going to be dating to be having sex. I know that that's foreign in today's society, but look, that's not how I roll. And then you put Yah first, and of course it goes Yah, Messiah, man, woman, child. And as long as all of this is actually implemented, then it will work out. Pray for it. Like, I know that Yah's going to give me a wife whenever I'm ready to have one. And so I just have faith in that. And I've actually had a few confirmations regarding that. And so, that would be my suggestion. Just make sure that it's in the will of the Father and be willing to do it the right way. Don't overcomplicate it. Truly be in love with her. Truly want to take care of her. Be sincere and pure with your intentions. When you have sex, that's technically you being married in the sight of Yah. You're supposed to protect and provide for her forever. Forgiveness and ignorance, but now everyone on the stream knows. So, yeah, I mean, maybe you don't have to go back and provide for all the people that you ever slept with when you didn't know, but you do know now, and you don't need to be running around and just having sex with people. It actually leaves a little bit of spiritual residue. It takes a spiritual piece of you. It desensitizes you. It's like spiritual corrosion when you're just running around having sex with people. So there's my take on all of that. That's a brief little summary of marriage as far as I know it currently according to the scriptures. Marriage in the eyes of the law is starting a joint business. Yeah, you don't need anything to do with the government or a piece of paper. That's all stupid nonsense. And Yah would, of course, just think that that was stupid because it's just man-made approval that you don't need. So just be right in the Father's eyes. The government can stamp approval all they want, and it doesn't in any way mean that Yah has stamped approval. And of course, you know, well, we already know they'll be stamping like freaking bestiality marriages before you know it. So we should probably not turn to the beast system to see, you know, exactly if they approve the morality of our our engagements. What's it needs, Big Mama? Yeah, it's yeah. I'm being patient, bro. It's all gonna work out. I used to sleep around. Yeah, same, bro. That's why I think I've had to sit and be patient for a few years. But if I can quit, and I can quit watching porn, and I can quit masturbating, and you know, not sleeping around at all, or hooking up with females sexually at all for like 3 straight years. So can you. So just pray about the marriage thing and be patient and just work on yourself and work on getting closer to the Father and tell him what you want via thankfulness and sincerity and purity and willingness to do your part and you know, tell him what you want. Paul breaks that down pretty good in Philippians. I know a lot of people trip about it, but I just think that people don't have the spiritual wisdom and discernment to read Philippians in this day of churchianity. But I think that got assigned to read Philippians tonight at the grocery store, and I went and read it, and it really hit home. And I saw numerous places that people just would misunderstand. It's just kind of sad. But anyway, he's been propped up to and misrepresented to justify a lot of things he never even said or claimed. All right, so I see my boy Just Jackson here. I'm about to crash. Y'all made Jacob earn his wives. Indeed. And when it comes to multiple wives, there's a specific way to do it. And of course, the initial wife has to be cool with it and know about it and has to be done the right way. Not just like, oh, in any way be driven strictly by sensual desire. From my understanding, there are a few scenarios how it works, but anyway, beard game coming strong. Thanks, bro. It'll be there in like a month or so. I think we're over a month. I think it's like a month, and it's like right over a month and a week. So we'll get there eventually. All right. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll check and see the best. And like I said, I'm sorry. I'm kind of tired, but it happens. I just didn't want to leave you guys hanging. My boy Michael, again, like always, thank you very much, bro. Much love. I'm grateful that I'm on Flat Earth with you. Thank you for the support, bro. You're always having a brother's back, and I'm grateful that you're part of the familia. We have probably the coolest audience. I'm not even joking. We really have one of the coolest audiences where I know I can really bring hard-hitting truths here, and most of my, like, the core people in the audience that are typically here are going to be able to handle it. They're big boys and girls. Appreciate what you do. Thank you very much for the support, Coupe de Ville, and the kind words. Much love, much appreciated. Cool name, bro. I'm saving myself for one true flat earth female. Yeah, that's the way to be, bro, for sure. You're going to have to be a strong male that lives for Yah and follows his guidance, and then just bluntly, the female will have to heed a little bit of correction, and she will want to do that intuitively and instinctively if you're actually following the will of the Father and you're a strong male and not a little gamma male that runs around like just watching porn behind her back all the time. I've been patient for a while myself. Well, make sure that you have your end of the deal done for the creator, and then it'll all work out. I guess you could technically wait until you're 80 if you don't want to do that part. Then your relationships are going to crumble. All right, so we're good. Get some rest, Austin. Yeah, I'm about to. I got to get up early, finish moving out, and then I'll do another stream with you guys. Whoop-de-whoop. And then we'll be back on the road like Sunday is the plan. Get with someone, have kids, and stay with them until you or they die. Simple, really. Yeah, exactly. Just make lots of babies. And don't cheat and lie, and just be honest and love her like she will love the church. All right. So you can speak truth unequivocally. The weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance. And when they revile you for his name's sake, rejoice, for they did it to all the prophets before him. And throughout all history, the weak-minded people get together and they throw rocks to the smarter people that are independent thinkers. And really, when I say smarter, I just mean like spiritually smarter. They have more discernment and wisdom, and typically maybe even more cognitive skills as well. But either way, just understand that if you're being attacked, even though you have purity of intention and sincerity and really just speaking the truth and everything you can say is pretty verifiable and people just spiral, it just means you're over the mark. It's only going to get worse. And, when you're over the mark is when they're going to turn you in for not having the mark. But it's all good, because if Yah's got your back, then you survive. Without that, then it's a pipe dream. You think that you're going to see do what's coming. And he will hand them over to their great delusions. Well, just get ready when the stuff starts popping up in the sky. So, of course, everything they claim, if they claim that anything coming from, just to wrap this up in conclusion with the topic of the stream, just so it's applicable to today, space is fake. If I was taking about thermodynamics, you can't have pressure near a vacuum. We covered that. So that the medium of outer space that they claim literally cannot exist. If they claim that these metaphysical entities come from other galaxies, intergalactic civilizations, extraterrestrial civilizations from thousands of light years away, or any nonsense like that, if they invoke the heliocentric model in any way, you know for a fact that they're lying. And of course, if any of these metaphysical entities present themselves to you and try to trick you into doing something, they're lying to you anyway. They're deceiving you anyway. Don't fall for it. You know for a fact that they're lying if they say they come from some other planet thousands of light years away. I still think that they absorb the flat earth, but either way, space is fake. That's just the way that it is. Let it go. We can move on in the pursuit of truth together. I'm going to catch up with y'all tomorrow night at the latest, maybe tomorrow in the day, but we are going to be pretty busy. Catch up with you later. Peace out. Love.
For Israel, wonder is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sipping pills, glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills, control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel, wonder is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock that twirl somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They force a misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature that mean extorted it. They forging it. If news ain't cause informants who informing them, there's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this: we port in ships important. Yes, of course it is, but extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks we ignoring, which informing this, informant this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder is it real? Rappers actors say they high, say they sipple pills, glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills, control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder is it real?